Hello, everyone. You're listening to Baby Steps, sponsored by Oxford and Soho Baby, a podcast dedicated to exploring the personal and emotional journeys of parenting. I'm your host. My name is Medea. Today I have Megan, creative director and mother of two. Megan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited too. So let's get started with the Fast Five, where I ask you five questions back to back, and you answer with the first thing that comes to your head.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, ready?
Yes.
Biggest pregnancy craving.
Uh Meat, actually. I was a vegetarian for like 7 years before I was pregnant. And when I got pregnant with my first daughter, it was all I could think about was very specifically hamburgers. Like I just wanted a hamburger so badly. And so I kind of went on this hamburger eating cheeseburger, actually, kind of like spree, and broke the vegetarian fast and never went back. So
Oh
that
my
was good.
gosh. I've heard of that happening before. That's so interesting.
Yes, it was a thing that happened. There was a lot of
Wow.
cheeseburgers that were eaten, yes.
Which is worse? You run out of diapers or you run out of wipes?
Um, Diapers for sure. I think with my first daughter, this happened to me. I can't remember who it was, but I ended up making my own wipes because I ran out. And I think it was just like baby shampoo or baby soap and paper towels or something like that in a bag. So I ended up making my own wipes and it wasn't that big of a deal. So yes,
Yeah, you can make your own wipe, but you can't make your own diaper.
right. That is correct.
One word to describe labor and one word to describe parenthood.
Ooh. Can it be the same word?
Yeah, of course.
Well, I've thought often about labor and didn't really fully understand the word labor until after being in labor, which really is just about it being work. It is such hard work. And so is parenting. So I would say actually the same word. Yeah, I had two non-intentional unmedicated births because my children came so fast and it was just intensely difficult and laborious and yeah, a lot of work as is parenting.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we'll get into the pregnancies 'cause I'm interested to know about that. But wow. And then favorite baby product you can't live without.
Let's see. Diapers. Um, with my first, she was totally obsessed with that Sophie the giraffe teething toy. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's like a little giraffe and it just has like a really lovely texture. And she just couldn't exist without it. So yeah, I use that a lot. And swaddles, can I say too? Swaddles for sure. That would be the number one.
Swaddle. So that's like where you wrap the baby up in like a blanket.
Yes, and you can either tightly swaddle them so they're like really confined, or they make ones where it's like a pocket essentially, and you stuff the baby in and Velcro them closed so that I think they just feel more secure and calm that way.
Oh, okay. Those are good. And then last one, most unexpected joy of motherhood.
Oh, interestingly, I was just thinking about this morning. Um, I was thinking about how your children are actually kind of parts of yourself. Like literally, you share the same DNA, they come from you. And so I have found actually that through being a parent, I've discovered things about myself through my children. It's almost like looking into a mirror, like, oh, she has this issue or tendency. And sometimes you self-reflect it back to yourself and learn something about yourself as well.
Wow, yeah, because your children are a reflection of you in every way
Yes,
because of DNA and then also habits, just what they
exactly.
see you do. So, yeah, that's a good way to also self-reflect.
Exactly. So very specifically, and you can leave this in or not, but like at the end of this last year, I had been um, with my one of my daughters, and we learned that she actually has ADHD. And in that journey and figuring that out with her, I started self-reflecting like, wait, maybe I have ADHD and it's just like gone undiagnosed my entire life. And so I did all this research and watched all these videos. And sure enough, I went back to a different provider and they were like, well, yes, obviously you do. So it was like I never would have drawn that conclusion unless I'd kind of been on that journey with her. And that's a very physical, biological thing. But yeah, it was wild. So it was
Wow, yeah.
a joy in that way to sort of realize we truly are cut from the same cloth and connected in that way.
Yeah. I think a lot of people go undiagnosed because it's becoming more prevalent now. Like people are noticing it more now, but back then I feel like it was just not, people were just going undiagnosed.
Yeah, exactly. I have
Hmm.
recently learned this as well.
So, on to the questions. First one, what were some of the most memorable moments during your pregnancy?
It has been a minute. As I said, I have a 14 and a 10-year-old. During the pregnancy, I think thinking back to the first one and the second one, of course, but like the first time you really feel them move or like feel that movement that there's actually another human being that you're creating, it all sort of feels fantastical until they're like wiggling and you can kind of see that elbow like go across your belly. That was just an incredible feeling.
Yeah, I can't even imagine what that feels like. Was that, how many months in did you start feeling that?
Gosh, I can't remember. I mean, I would guess like 3 or 4 months in, but again, that's a lot of history's happened between then and now. So I can't say for sure.
Hmm, cool. What was the most surprising part of pregnancy or birth that no one warned you about?
Um, the actual like birth process or the pregnancy process. I don't know if this is the answer you're looking for, but I will say when my first daughter was born, it's like very obviously like she's going to be a human being, right? But as soon as she was born, I remember looking at her thinking she's just a complete new person. Like she's a stranger and I don't know anything about her. I felt like I'd maybe have this like instant bond or like I would know her immediately, but it just like really occurred to me that she was truly a stranger that I had to get to know.
Yeah, it's this person that you've never met before.
Right.
You don't know anything about them. You have to get to know them just like they have to get to know you.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like that instant bond that people talk about, I don't know if that's a real thing.
It might be for some people. I feel like I had it more with my second, I would say, and I attribute it really only to this sort of shock of becoming a mother for the first time. Like you think you know what it's going to be like and you don't. And maybe I was just more used to it at that point. So I felt like I had a little more mental space to bond and connect with my second one by the time she was born. But yeah, it's nothing can quite prepare you for that moment when you meet that person. Like you're truly meeting somebody.
Oh, that's so cute. But yeah, such a special moment, that moment you become a mother. And yeah, that's so cool. So you were talking about your two pregnancies and how they were a lot of work and very like some, did something go wrong with them, or yeah, do you want to talk
No,
about them?
the pregnancies were very smooth. Both I was very fortunate. I was very fortunate in a lot of ways. I didn't have infertility struggles. It was pretty smooth, like according to plan, all of that. The pregnancies were good, but the labors came very quick. So I was just saying that the actual labor process was, you hear that it's difficult, but like beyond my wildest dreams difficult. So because they came, like my first was born, start to finish, the whole thing was 7 hours. And then the second one was like less than 3 hours. So with my second daughter, by the time I went into labor, I mean, she was born less than 3 hours later. So it was so fast. And so all of the things that happen to your body in that time period are crunched into this really short period of time. So it was just very, very challenging, but I definitely wear it as a badge of honor that I got through it and made it safely to the other side.
Yeah, there's advantages and disadvantages of having it happen that fast. 'Cause at least you're done with it quick, but also that's so much to go through in such a short period of time.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. Now moving on to the postpartum period, what surprised you most about it?
Well, with my first daughter, I actually unfortunately had really severe postpartum anxiety. I've always been a very anxious person in general, but it was really difficult to go back to work. I was working full time and obviously took maternity leave and went back to work, but I just wasn't prepared for the extreme, like, I don't know. I don't know how else to describe it as anxiety. Like I would get to work and try and sit in meetings and be like just paralyzed in fear and had to like sit near the door and have to leave. And I think in reflecting back on all of that, I think it's because um, actually, I was just researching that people with undiagnosed ADHD are 5 times more likely to have postpartum anxiety, which is interesting. So there was that, but just also the newness of it all. So yeah, I guess I wasn't prepared for how that would feel.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about the anxiety, postpartum anxiety, because you just had a baby, you just went through so much, and now you're supposed to go back to regular living. It's a hard transition.
Right. I think it's overwhelming for, I mean, I would think anybody who has to go back to work to sort of, you have to put on your professional face and try and focus on your job. But in the back of your mind, you have this new human being who is relying on you, who's across town. And, you're trying not to think about that. And then when you're at home, you're kind of worrying about work. So it was pretty overwhelming for the mind, I think, to adjust to the newness of being a parent, of being a working mom specifically.
Yeah. How long do you think until it kind of mellowed out and you didn't feel as anxious anymore?
I ended up seeing a doctor and getting some medical help. Like I got some medicine to help me, so that like evened everything out. Um, for me, that was, I really tried to sort of like grin and bear it, but it just wasn't really happening. But that was probably like 6 months in, I would say, because I was home for 3 months and then was back at work for a few months before I finally got some medication that helped a lot.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's good you went and did something about it. 'Cause some people just let it
Yeah,
sit and then it just gets worse and worse. So
yeah,
good that you were proactive.
definitely, yes.
What's been your biggest, I have no idea what I'm doing moment so far?
Oh my gosh, how could I pick just one? Um, I will say that's hard. Sorry, I'm just at a loss because I think the whole journey has really felt like that. It's like I feel like I'm just making this all up as I go along because even my own two children are so different in the way that they respond to parenting or just their personalities are so different. And so it's like you think you've got it figured out with the first child, and then the second one comes along and they're like a completely different person who you just have to start all over again and retailor your approach. But if I had to pick one thing, I think having a teenager is pretty challenging. I was a challenging teenager myself. So trying to navigate kind of all the feelings that come with that, and when you think about the gravity of teaching someone to become a woman and like to become their own person and to treat other people with kindness and to treat herself with kindness. Oh, that's so hard. Sorry. I'm just like, this is all unlocking for me. Watching her go through the things that teenagers go through with like criticizing herself, having, you know, feeling unattractive or feeling insecure, like when I just want to squeeze her and tell her, like, oh my gosh, you're so beautiful. You don't need to worry about that. But, just trying to navigate all of those feelings is really challenging. And I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's hard, especially as a woman, because we're told you're supposed to be like this or you're supposed to do things like this, and you're trying to fit a mold while also trying to figure out who you are. And it's such a tough time. You said 14, right? That's
Yes.
such a tough time to be a human, especially a woman. So, yeah, I give you credit. I don't even know how my mom did it.
I think too, navigating all of this on top of the layer on top of it, I should say, is the digital world, the social media. Like it feels like a constant battle to keep her off the internet, if that makes sense. I mean, she's older now and we're giving her more permissions, but it's just like it's a complete wild west out there. If they have access to screens or the internet, like they can literally find anything. And there's so much pressure to grow up so fast and to emulate what you see on social media and like celebrity culture. It's pretty overwhelming. So I think that's kind of the biggest enemy that we face right now as the parents of teenagers is like the digital connectivity of it all.
Yeah, you see someone on TikTok getting a nose job. You see someone
Mhm.
like it's just so much out there and it's overwhelming and it's just
Yes,
yeah, it's too much. I so she has a does she have a phone?
she does now. Again, it's kind of been this ongoing battle with she wanted a phone, and so we ended up eventually getting her. This was a few years ago. We were like, we're gonna get you a flip phone. We're very old school. We're like, we'll get you a flip phone. You can call your friends. It does the job. It's fine. Like, don't worry about it. And then it was this whole battle for several years to get a smartphone because what we realized is she was just very embarrassed. Like everybody else around her had a smartphone. She wanted a smartphone, and you don't want your kid to be embarrassed, but at the same time, you want to protect them from, growing up too fast and having too much access. So we ended up getting her I've done so much research on this, but we got her a smartphone with, gosh, what was it called? There was a proprietary software or a company that I can't think of right now where essentially like everything's kind of on lockdown and you can like monitor things, you can monitor texts. So we did that for a while. And not that I was sitting there watching her texts, but just to know that, there wasn't like this hidden world that we didn't have access to when she was 12 years old. But then eventually we did end up getting her an iPhone, and I realized there's a lot of permissions on there. So she has access to more now, but we just set limits to things. So um, limits on internet exposure, limits on Snapchat. That's the only social media she's allowed to have. So we're kind of like easing her into it. I'm hoping not being too controlling. That's like the other side of it is knowing kind of like what the right amount of parenting for the phone is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the hard part is seeing what other people have and comparing. Like, well, she can go on her phone for however long she wants, or this person has TikTok, and then coming back to your parent being like, well, I don't have this. So, yeah, but each person is different and each family is different, and you're gonna only do what you feel comfortable with and also have a
Yeah.
balance of it. So I really respect that.
Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, my advice to parents of teenagers out there is they're going to be mad at you no matter what. Like they're just going to be mad at you no matter what you do. So you just have to make the choice that you feel like is right for them in the long run.
Yes, I agree with that. How has becoming a mother changed you?
Changed me. It has it has made me incredibly patient. Actually, I used to work for a woman who used to say moms make amazing managers, which I think is such a great wisdom that she has. And I think about that a lot because if you think about parenting, like you're just managing tiny people until they become teenagers, but you're just like managing them. You have to exercise so much patience, tell them kind of the same thing over and over again, help them learn, help them grow. Um, and I actually apply a lot of those learnings to being a manager at work as well. And I think they kind of go back and forth and like feed each other, if that makes sense.
Yeah, taking care of children, taking care of people is one of the hardest things to do. So, yeah,
Right.
it requires patience, requires time management, requires organization, which, yeah, with managing, you have to do the same thing. So,
Exactly.
yeah, that's really good. Final question. What advice would you give to parents listening right now?
I think I wouldn't sugarcoat it. Parenting is hard. It's very hard. It is a very difficult job and it can be incredibly rewarding, but it is hard. And I think like if someone is in a situation where they're really trying to decide, like if you're on the fence, like should I become a parent? Should I not become a parent? I think I think it's important to really be prepared for a wild ride and a wild journey. And it is a lot of work, but it is like amazing too. And just watching these young people grow up who I hope still want to be friends with me, when they're older and like reflect positively back on their childhood. But yeah, it's a lot of work, just like marriage, just like anything else.
Yeah. Wow, that was beautiful. That's all we have for today. Listeners, thank you for tuning in. Megan, thank you so much for coming on. You've
Of
been listening
course.
to Baby Steps, sponsored by Oxford and Soho Baby. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.